Hey everyone, welcome back to the R Stories. I know many of you use these videos to unwind and drift off to sleep, and I'm so glad to be part of a nighttime routine. Before you settle in, I'd love to hear where you're listening from. Drop a comment below and let me know. And if you're enjoying the episodes, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps support the channel. Now relax, get comfortable, and let's begin. Next story. Am I the asshole? My wife got her boobs out on a night out. My friend told me. I said I do not care. It is causing a lot of drama. My wife, 41 female, was on a night out with friends and ended up bumping into a few of my friends while out. They stayed together most of the night, and at one point, they were in the smoking area at the back of a bar and got talking to a couple of younger women. One of them mentioned wanting to get her nipples pierced, but was scared of the long-term damage. My wife then said, "I've had mine done for 25 years, and there is no damage to them. Do you want to see?" The other woman said yes. So my wife turned her back to the crowd behind her so only those around her could see and pulled her top down for what she said, and my friends confirmed, was about 30 seconds. The other woman asked if she could feel them, and my wife said yes. After that, the other woman said she could see and feel there was no damage, and now she is convinced. The next morning, my friend messaged me to tell me what happened. I said I know. My wife told me. He then said she obviously did not tell me the full story because I would be more mad, and then proceeded to tell me the exact same story that my wife told me, laughing out loud. I said I appreciated him looking out for me, but I'm not mad, and I do not really care. Since then, I have had all sorts of messages from friends. Some are telling me I need to leave her. Some are telling me not to listen to others, and they cannot believe all the fuss. Even a couple of friends have said things along the lines of, "If you let your wife get away with this, it will encourage my wife to behave like this, like I should punish her or something." It came to a bit of a head yesterday, as a few of us play for the same Sunday league football side. A couple of my friends were joking about it, and one of them said, "If I go tell her I want my nipples pierced, will she show me?" And I laughed and said, "No harm in asking." Then one of my other friends said, "She probably will, the slag," and I lost it and went for him. We got pulled apart, but since then, tensions have been quite high, with most people supporting me, but a few saying it is my fault for not seeing the truth and not seeing how bad the situation is. I genuinely do not know what else I could have done differently here. I'm not bothered about it. I really am not, and I do not need people to be offended on my behalf. When we go on holiday, she will be topless all day at the beach where hundreds of people can see her. I cannot believe all the fuss about some nipple piercings. So, am I the asshole for not caring that my wife got her boobs out on a night out? Commenter 1. Your wife showed a piercing, not committed a crime, and your so-called friends are acting like the morality police. If their marriages are so fragile that your wife's free spirit is a threat, that is a them problem, not yours. Opie, thank you. I'm glad I'm not going crazy. If your friends are calling her a slag and other names to your face, they're saying much worse when you're not around. Good on you for standing up for your wife, but you need new friends or friends that at least respect you and your wife. I second this opinion. Your wife did nothing wrong, and it is not anybody else's business to have an opinion on how she behaves. Honestly, if these so-called friends are calling your wife slurs in front of you, they are not your friends or worth the breath it takes to tell them to shut their dirty mouths or scrub their dirty minds clean. I am proud of you for standing up for your wife. Many lesser, more insecure men would have caved to the peer pressure. Commenter 2. Not the asshole. You need new friends. Normal people would recognize that women actually let each other see their breasts all the time for a lot of reasons, and it is pretty normal. If they're making these kinds of comments, then they have never had any respect for her. And this is just an incident that has let the curtain fall on that. That is a really good point. My friend and I went away for the weekend, and she wanted a bra fitting. It was taking ages to find the right fit, and I think she felt bad I was sitting outside on my own, so she asked me to join her in the cubicle. We chatted about where to go for lunch, etc., while the salesperson kept bringing in bras to try on. Girls do see other girls' boobs, and it really is not anything to get upset about. Thank goodness the original poster is not like some of his friends. Yeah, if I see a guy's dick in a shower after golf, my girlfriend is not going to break up with me. I've had a lot of "is this infected" scenarios as well. Hearing things like this just further reaffirms that men really need to band together and agree that it is okay to seek both mental health and medical attention. It is okay to ask for help from those who are qualified. It is also okay to cry. You're not a pussy for showing emotion. Opie, it is really weird. I do not know where this has come from. They have never been like this before about her or other women. Some of them have even been away with us before when my wife and their wives and girlfriends all went topless too. It is not even like they have not seen my wife's tits before, laughing out loud. Commenter 3. Not the asshole. It is not like she was showing them in a way to be sexual. She was showing her piercings to someone who has contemplated getting the same piercing. Yeah, context matters. Showing a piercing is not the same as showing off in a sexual way. And even if that is something the original poster and his wife are both comfortable with, it is not anyone's business but theirs. Indeed, but some people just have absolutely no sense of boundaries. This matter is entirely the original poster's family business and has nothing to do with his friends. So what are they getting so worked up about? Opie. Yeah. She was in the corner of an outside area of a bar with her back to the crowd. Only those in the direct vicinity would have known what was happening. Commenter 4. Any of your friends that are trying to tell you to keep your wife under control or whatever do not deserve to be your friends. I agree with this. Also, any friends who are calling his wife insulting names should not be his friends anymore. Yeah, it is the guys who think he has some ability to keep her under control. That is just what insecure men say, who think their wives are not equals. The original poster and his wife are partners, so there is no control to be placed under. And as for the one who called her a slag, he deserved what he got. I could not agree more. Isn't this the most basic principle of being a friend? I think the original poster's friends are kind of jerks. Commenter 5. Not the asshole. You found out 3 important things. You have chosen friends who view women as property. You have failed to control your property in a way they expect you to control her. Your wife is now in danger around your friends. Also, as an old lady who has seen this play out over many friend groups of men through the years, I can guarantee you that at least one of your friends is now spanking it while imagining giving your wife the discipline he thinks you will not. And if you keep allowing these men access to your wife, one of them will eventually cross the line and harass or hurt her because she deserves it. Commenter 6. You are in the right here. Your friends are just insecure that you being okay with this is going to lead to their wives doing something like this. It is good you do not see any harm in this, because there is not. She was showing a few people and with good intentions, not to cheat or whatever bad intention these friends of yours think she had. You are a good husband, and from what it seems, you are both confident in your wife and yourself, which is great. Quite frankly, you should drop those friends, definitely the one who called her a slag, and those who are saying, would she show me if I asked? They're basically calling her easy and telling you in a discreet way that your wife would give it up or show anybody. Or they secretly have been wanting the original poster's wife all along. Knock on wood. But if the original poster and his wife were to split up now, those of his friends would be lined up to talk to her while also pretending to be good friends to the original poster. Opie agreed, and it has kind of opened my eyes a bit to how badly they would react if their wives did the same. I did not see any harm in it at all. The 2 women she was talking to could see, and 3 of my friends could see. Big deal. Someone saw her boobs. Next story. Am I the asshole for refusing to share my college dorm room with my older sister and her baby? I, 19, female, am in my first year of college and live in a small dorm room on campus. My sister, 26, female, had a baby a few months ago, and she has been struggling financially. She and the baby's father broke up, and she had to move back in with our parents. The problem is, she hates living there because our parents are too controlling and judgmental about her being a single mom. She asked if I could request permission for her to stay in my dorm with her baby for a while, because it would be quieter and give her space to figure things out. I told her no. My dorm is tiny, barely big enough for me, and I have a roommate. Plus, a baby crying all night in a shared dorm? That is not fair to my roommate or me. She got upset and said I was being selfish, that families should help each other, and that she would do it for me if the roles were reversed. Now, my parents are also pressuring me to just let her stay for a little while because she is struggling. My roommate thinks the whole situation is crazy and that I should not feel bad, but I'm starting to wonder if I'm being a bad sister. Am I the asshole? Edit. I spoke to the dorm in charge and was told it would not be allowed at all. I informed my parents and sister about it, but my sister is still upset and says I should have been more open to the idea and that I should not have denied her for my selfish reasons before asking for permission. Commenter 1. Not the asshole. As you stated, a crying baby is not fair or quiet for anyone. How loud can your parents' house be that she needs to get away? It is not about volume. It is that she does not want to listen to mom and dad tell her they are disappointed in her choices. My guess is your campus will have a firm no as an answer to this. So, I actually do encourage you to reach out to them to ask what the policy is on non-students living on campus / in a dorm room that is already at capacity. If, as I suspect, it is a clear not allowed, print that out and hand it to both her and your parents. Editing to add. Your sister would 100% use this as an excuse to use you as free labor to take care of her child. This is a time when you should be focusing on schoolwork and living the college life, not taking care of someone else's baby. Agree completely that the original poster should absolutely ask the resident advisor and/or housing department about this. Unauthorized visitors will get the original poster kicked out, so having it in writing should help shift the blame from the original poster to the university. Not to mention, there is a roommate. Back in my day, dorm rooms were one room with 2 beds, a place for their clothes, and 2 desks. Where would you fit another adult person and a baby? Also, colleges and universities are usually not big on non-students living in their dorms. If I was paying for my child to live on campus, not a cheap option at any school these days, and a non-student moved in with a baby, I would be on the phone to complain to the university so fast that big sister's head would spin. It is just not an option. Original poster. Get your roommate's parents to call your parents and ask how much of your roommate's room and board they will be covering. I bet that will shut this idea down fast. I cannot imagine any on-campus housing would be cool with a non-student with an infant dependent squatting on their property. Commenter 2. Not the asshole. At all. Wow. What an ask. I cannot imagine your roommate going for that arrangement, laughing out loud. She got upset and said I was being selfish. On the contrary, she is selfishly asking you and your roommate to 100% disrupt your living situation to accommodate her. Pot meat kettle. Now my parents are also pressuring me to just let her stay for a little while. Nope. Is a ludicrous suggestion. Maybe tell your parents to go on vacation for a little while and give her some breathing room. Not the asshole. Stand your ground or become her first go-to whenever she wants to take advantage. Not that your roommate would allow her, laughing out loud. On the contrary, she is selfishly asking you and your roommate to 100% disrupt your living situation to accommodate her. Not just that, it is going to disrupt other people's lives in the dorm. Crying babies can be heard from neighbors in apartments, even with rooms in between them and the baby. Plus, the only place for the baby to play is going to be in the common rooms where people watch television. Students are not going to be thrilled with being asked to not have the television loud and playing things a baby should not be exposed to, whether it is shows or video games. There's going to be a lot of noise disturbance for the baby, as dorms have a lot of slamming doors and loud music, even parties. There is no way they can hide the baby from people, or the sister, for that matter. Commenter 3. Not the asshole, and your college/university might actually have something to say about you moving non-enrolled people into your dorm room. There's probably also some liability for having minors in the dorm. Unless you want to risk getting kicked out for housing people, you should not stick to your guns. Also, she is 26 and has a home. She should evaluate her life choices before she burdens you with them. Yes, the university will definitely have a policy on how many consecutive nights a guest can stay. Mine was 2 nights, so people could stay a full weekend. Commenter 4. Not the asshole. What a wildly irrational request. A shared college dorm room is no place for a newborn. It is not selfish to tell her no. You have a roommate to consider, and you're both there to study, so a baby would make that difficult. Beyond that, dorm rooms are generally cramped as it is. To add another adult, and a baby would leave practically no room. And I'm not sure if she has never been in a dorm room before. but they generally are not exactly quiet spaces. I would honestly be tempted to tell her you talk to the school, and they will not allow it. It sucks that she is struggling, but that does not obligate you to be her housing solution. Hell, I had a nice dorm room in college because there was room to separate the twin beds instead of having to set them up bunk style. I cannot imagine where a third person and a baby would have fit. Commenter 5. Not the asshole, but this cannot be real. Is she serious? Firstly, the college/university would presumably never allow an infant to take up residency in a dorm. It is not set up for parents, and it is a liability nightmare. Second, she honestly thinks a dorm room with 3 adults and 1 baby in a building full of teens and early 20s cohabitating will be quieter than a house full of boomers? Third, your parents are really willing to potentially sabotage your education to pacify your sister. There's no way this is real, or if it is, she is embellishing because there is not a chance in hell her parents thought for a minute a college dorm room is a suitable place for an infant. Next story. Would I be the asshole for not fully engaging with my son's fiance's family traditions? Hi everyone. My son is getting married to a Hindu woman. We are a non-religious family, so he has opted to embrace the traditions of his partner and her family. As such, the wedding will be a full-on traditional Hindu wedding. I have been asked to wear the traditional clothing of their tradition. It includes a skirt-type piece that I do not like. I told my son I am not comfortable wearing that since it is not my culture. Plus, in my country, I want to dress like my countrymen. But it seems there is a hard stop on this since, to participate in the religious ceremony, I need to wear it. I have told them I am more comfortable wearing something with trousers that is not the tradition. They have accepted that I can wear the trousers, but my son is being stubborn and wants me to wear the real traditional clothing. My wife is very excited to be wearing the traditional clothing, as are my daughters. I'm just not keen. Am I the asshole for not wanting to wear Hindu clothing to my son's Hindu wedding? Edit. To clear up some confusion, I am male, 60 years old, and this is the type of clothes I am being asked to wear. The reason I need to wear it, I believe, is because I will be on the stage participating in the actual ceremony. Commenter 1. You would be the asshole if you attend the ceremony and do not conform to the dress code. This would be true for any wedding. You are the father of the groom, but you are acting like the sullen teenage younger brother who does not want to wear a suit. It is a religious ceremony. You do not have to be part of it if you are not comfortable with it. But it is incredibly rude to insist on attending and refusing to follow the wishes of the bride and groom. I am pretty sure the reason that your son is the one insisting is that your future in-laws do not want to be too demanding, so he has to stick up for his bride. I attended a Catholic wedding 2 weeks ago. I am Protestant. They, of course, do a whole mass, including communion. I sang the responses. I stood when others stood, and I sat when they said sit or kneel. They quite clearly indicated that non-Catholics were not to take communion, so I did not. As a guest at their religious ceremony, I did what they wanted a non-Catholic to do. You would do well to remember that the wedding is not about you. It is about being supportive of the bride and groom. It is not like you are being asked to wear a kilt with nothing underneath. Yes, there is a skirt piece or a knee-length dress, but it is worn over pants. What you're not understanding is you will stick out if you do not wear the traditional clothing, much more than if you dress like everyone else, just like the sullen teenager who is wearing jeans and a polo to a formal wedding. Commenter 2. Gently, you are the asshole. You are letting some kind of weird toxic masculinity get in the way of celebrating a moment with your child. If you proceed with wearing something different than everyone else because you do not want to wear a skirt-type piece that you do not like, you will be ostracizing yourself. You will be the one standing out because of your own insecurities. Just wear the traditional garb for a few hours. I promise you will be fine, and no one will make fun of you. I was totally on board with the original poster at first, because I thought he objected to participating in a religious ceremony that conflicted with his beliefs. Turns out he is just too uptight to wear a skirt. Commenter 3. Oh, too manly to wear a dhoti. Dude, get a grip. It is not a freaking skirt, and you're not going to become transgender just for wearing it. Jesus fucking Christ. But what if he feels pretty when the dhoti goes twirly twirly? Oh dear God, you have met my dad, have you not? Various skirt and dress-like garments. and he prances about like the fat white man he is. It is ridiculous, but fun. The look of glee on my brand spanking new husband's face as he discovered during our first dance that kilts flare when the wearer spins still gives me joy nearly 9 years later. Thanks for reminding me, neighbor. Hope you find a nice, crisp, forgotten 20 in your coat. Commenter 4. Yes, you would be the asshole if you do not fully engage with the traditions your son and his fiancée have chosen to embrace for their wedding. This is not your wedding or birthday or celebration of any kind. So unless the garment they're asking you to wear is physically uncomfortable and causing pain or far more expensive than what you can afford, then you should just embrace it. They have accepted that I can wear the trousers, but my son is being stubborn and wants me to wear the real traditional clothing. His fiancée and her family are just trying to be polite. They do not want to cause a scene, and they certainly do not want you to cause one at the wedding. She is being overly accommodating for your masculine fragility, not because it is actually okay to go against their wishes for tradition. Additionally, your future daughter-in-law, of course, wants to make a good impression on you and does not want you to resent her for this simple request that you are currently being a child about. Your son is standing his ground because he knows how important this is, and unlike his fiancée, he knows that you will not stop loving him just for standing his ground. He is doing exactly what he should be, and you should apologize for insinuating that their clothing choices are not good enough. Lastly, you can wear pants under whatever skirt-type piece you like, but you should definitely be dressed in the traditional clothing on top. This is their wedding, and they will have proof forever in their wedding photos that you are a stubborn asshole if you do not go along with their request. You're the asshole. He is still wearing pants. He says a skirt, but if you look up any men's Hindu wedding clothing, it is just a long tunic with pants underneath and seems much more comfortable than a Western men's suit. It feels weirdly misogynistic in that he is afraid to wear anything perceived as feminine and skirt-like. Would this even be a question if the fiancé was Scottish and he had to wear a kilt, which is more like a skirt than a tunic? Commenter 5. I think most of these outfits would involve pants worn under a long shirt, but nothing that is actually a skirt. Ask your son, or even better, the bride's parents, to show you examples of what would be appropriate for you to wear. I think you will be pleasantly surprised that it is not as unusual as you may be thinking. Congratulations to your families. Next story. Am I the asshole for not doing an art commission I was not told about? Title sounds a little confusing. I was not sure how to best word it. Hopefully this all makes sense. I, female, 33 years old, do a lot of art in the needlework medium. Embroidery, cross-stitch, weaving, etc. I'm going to toot my own horn here. I'm very good at it. I have won first prize at a couple of our state fair competitions, and the one tapestry piece I had in a gallery sold for a good bit of money. A few years ago, I made a choice that I would no longer take commissions. The deadlines back and forth between clients, and all that jazz made me hate what was once a hobby I could do for hours, shutting my brain off. I will still make presents on occasion. My wife's best friend just had a baby, and I made a cross-stitch birth announcement for the nursery, for example. But anything outside of that is not happening. This past week, I got a message on my Instagram from my friend Mike's friend Abigail. Abigail said Mike recommended me for an embroidery she wanted done, and how soon could I get to the process. I told Abigail I was sorry, but I no longer take commissions, and Mike knew that already. Abigail was a little pissy, but Mike, oh my God. He texted me in a fury, saying he really buttered up my work to Abigail, and he was trying to date her, and I have fucked things up for him. I am sad that Mike is acting this way, but I also wonder that since Abigail was misled about me not doing commissions, should I just do it? My wife says absolutely not, and I 85% think she's right, but I just wanted the perspective of people who are not married to me. Laughing out loud. Commenter 1. Not the asshole. And your wife is 100% right. Mike made his own decision to mislead Abigail. He is responsible for that decision and for any fallout that might occur. He is 100% the asshole here. You do not need to change anything you're doing to suit him. The only thing you do need to do is enforce your boundaries better. He is trying to guilt you. Do not let him. He is texting the original poster in a fury instead of taking accountability. People like this always seem to have everyone and anyone to blame except themselves. Laughing out loud, He did not even tell the original poster that the request was incoming or any information at all. Neither Mike nor Abigail sound like much of a catch. No one needs people like this in their life. To be fair, Abigail had been deceived. She has the right to be a little pissed at the situation, which, from the sound of things, is what happened. Mike, on the other hand, yeah, fuck no, he's out of line. Commenter 2. Not the asshole. Your wife is right. Mike made a promise to Abigail without consulting you first. He knew you were no longer doing work on commission. He messed things up for himself. You had nothing to do with it. You are not obligated to make art for anyone. This is a hobby for you. You do not owe Abigail or Mike anything. Mike trying to get with Abigail by way of the original poster's art. Imagine having a hookup on custom embroidery being the make it or break it with a potential date. Commenter 3. If you tell someone who is looking for, say, new bed sheets that they should totally go to the local hospital because they have amazing sheets on all of their beds, and then the hospital tells the person that they do not sell sheets, is the hospital the asshole? Or were you? Not the asshole. Commenter 4. Not the asshole. As a knitter and hooker, crochet uses a hook. You're not obligated to do your hobby so someone else can get laid. As someone who crochets badly, I got confused why you put the explanation for hooker, then realized outside of crochet it has a more well-known meaning. Commenter 5. Not the asshole. I doubt the difference between Mike closing the deal or not with this woman hinges on your embroidery. If it does, that is not much of a foundation on which to build a relationship. Tell Mike to get a dog if he needs help picking up women. To be fair, if a guy I was just getting to know deliberately misled me and caused me an awkward interaction like this, I would take it as the red flag it rightfully is. Next story. Would I be the asshole if I tell my husband he cannot leave the job he hates? My husband is a tradesman. He has always wanted his own business as he hates having a boss. He started doing freelance work over the years and felt like he could go out on his own someday. I am a teacher, and at the end of 2021, my district asked me to head up an initiative that bumped my pay up quarterly stipends without a ton of extra work. Around the same time, his company of 8 years got bought out. We decided this would be a good time for him to go out on his own. My teaching job provides steady income. I hold our family's insurance. We have 3 kids, the oldest is 9, and the stipends provided a little cushion. We also had about $40,000 in savings. Things started out great, but a year later, most of the work in the area dried up. He took contracts out of state to keep working, but he did not make as much because of lodging and food expenses. He suggested we buy a camper for him to live in when he was away. I agreed. That came with a hefty monthly payment, but it alleviated some of the cost. Then the out-of-state work became fewer and farther between. He was home more, making no money at all. My husband is a hustler and was constantly putting himself out there, but the cost of supplies went up, so he had to raise prices for his services. This made things worse. The cycle continued. As hard as it was to be home alone with 3 young kids when he traveled, it was worse when he was home. He was miserable. A potential contract would cheer him up and then fall through. We went through this for months. Midway through 2024, we were simply out of money. We were living off credit cards. He took some seasonal work in the fall, and that is the only reason our home was not foreclosed on. He felt like a failure. Early December, an old friend called him to ask if he would consider working with him. There is a corporate project, and they desperately need people with my husband's skill set. $61 per hour plus a $1,500 sign-on bonus if he started within 10 days. We thought it was too good to be true, but 2 days after Christmas, he had a contract in his email. He started right after the new year. His first check was like manna from heaven. It has taken 2 months to breathe again, even with my pay. He has gotten paid 4 times, and his most recent check was the first time we had money left over after we paid bills. We took the kids to McDonald's to celebrate. The problem is he is miserable. It took a week for him to remember why he hates working for other people. I watch his light dim more every day. He is working overtime weekly, and I feel bad he has to spend so much time there. The other day, he fake casually mentioned that he heard from a company out of state. It is the opportunity one have been waiting for, he says. It just came a little late. I love this man, but I do not think I can support this again. We put $40,000 plus and about $15,000 in credit card debt into it. He was gone for months at a time, and it was hard here. And we still have a huge monthly payment for that camper we cannot sell. Would it be cruel to tell him he cannot quit? Commenter 1. Your husband is a grown-up. Sometimes we need to suck it up and work jobs we do not enjoy to support our families. As an adult with basic math skills, your husband should be able to look at your finances and figure out for himself that he needs to maintain his current earnings to help your family climb out of the debt that the unfortunate failure of his business caused. He should also be able to understand the impact on his family of him working away from home for long periods. If your husband wants to leave the family and his good-paying job and move back out of state to work, I do not think you could stop him. You're not his mom. All you can do, should he make this decision, is have some frank discussions about what you expect and are willing to accept should he wish you to remain in this marriage. It should also be made clear what his financial obligations to the family will be on an ongoing basis, whether or not you remain in the marriage, should he leave again to work elsewhere. One hopes earning money needed to support his children. It is not cruel to expect an adult man to pull his weight in supporting his children and family. Not the asshole. I do not think you can stop him. You're not his mom. I think I know what you mean, but I'm really starting to hate when people say you cannot force an adult to do things. In a literal sense, probably not, unless you put a gun to his head. But this man is a husband. He is a father. 3 kids. That is 4 pretty big commitments. You do not get to decide everything on your own once you enter such commitments. He could be single, but the kids are for life. Grow the hell up and deal with it. He could take his time to build his business slowly or seek alternatives or whatever, but honestly, it sounds a bit like he's not that good of a businessman, which is no shame. Acquiring clients and deals is hard on top of the actual work. But that is really hard to judge here, of course. Commenter 2. Your husband needs to grow up and gain a different perspective. He hates working for other people? Seriously, who does he think he is working for as a contractor? It is not himself, that is for sure, other businesses. And where I am from, anyway, contractors have far fewer rights than a full-time permanent employee. The only difference between now and then is who his bosses are. Before, it was different people who were unreliable. Now he has a boss who is consistent, who is reliably paying him a paycheck every week and letting him do overtime. To me, it just sounds like he is being a baby. He liked hustling for himself because he had excuses to get out of other responsibilities. Sorry, cannot help with the kids, out of state making $1, all the while getting to travel around in different locations and see different things in his very own camper van. In what way would this other job be better? He will be away from his family all week. Would that not make him more miserable than having a boss? Every hustler and entrepreneur I have come across who acted like having a boss is just about the worst thing in this world has always been a failure, because the reason they want to hustle and be an entrepreneur is because they think the issue with their lack of success is that they do not get to be responsible for themselves, and they do not get to dictate the rules of the game, but it is all nonsense. The real reason 90% of the time is most of them lack discipline and just do not have the talent to be successful based on the rules of the game laid out before them. When they do go on to their own thing, they almost always become miserable when they only have themselves to rely on for being responsible, then get more miserable at their failures of being responsible, and then get more miserable when they realize if they want customers, they're still going to have to kiss ass and play by the rules. Then they fail, they come back to the real world, and somehow make it 2 weeks before they have completely forgotten how much of an utter failure they were at being out on their own and how miserable that made them in comparison. If he keeps working this job, over time, he will have to work less overtime as you guys catch up. That will give him a better work-life balance, much better than try to be a contractor out of state again. I hate having a boss is such teenage energy. Yeah, man, no one likes having to trade their labor to live. Maybe if you did not have a spouse and children, you would have a bit more flexibility, but as it stands, you made a choice to be responsible for a family, and that is what you're going to have to do. Commenter 3. Not the asshole. Blue-collar tradesman with family responsibilities. Hates working for other people. Cannot drum up steady business/work. Stepped in something that turned to $61 per hour gold. He should consider himself blessed. Edit. Over my career as an electrician and field technician/engineer, I worked for several employers, and ventured out on my own a couple of times. Running a small one-man show, or with a helper, is very difficult. You are limited to smaller jobs with lots of competition from similar people, which drives pricing down, and you cannot run a lot of jobs simultaneously to cut the inherent no work right now risk element. And beyond the physical work, you also have to run the business and billing end and cover business expenses and any employee benefits and payroll taxes. I gave up on it after a couple of tries and settled into the different depression of being an employee with regular hours, time off, benefits, providing successfully for my family, etc. At my last employee job, I earned $65 per hour plus benefits. My internal cost to my employer was over $105 per hour for just the salary and benefits part, but excluding business expenses. For a trades-based small business, there are big expenses in management time, vehicles, insurance, tools, etc. The list is quite large, which is why electricians, plumbers, etc. charge in the $150 per hour plus range for services. But even at those rates, it is hard to beat out the earning potential and income security of a steady career job from an income per hour standpoint. Yeah, sometimes it can get boring, or you feel unfulfilled, have unpleasant tasks, feel taken for granted, taken advantage of, etc. Everybody wants to be their own boss. Until bids fall through and they're out of work, they have a deadbeat customer, or it becomes just like working for the man. Only now you have no one to blame but yourself. And just a different incarnation of depression. It is the old rub of being in a small one-man business. My employee is lazy and my boss is incompetent. Next story. We got an offer on a house, and our friends asked if they could move in. My husband and I received the notice that our offer was accepted. We are super excited and started sharing the news with our close friends and family. One of our friends, who is going back to school in our state, said congratulations and then asked, since the timing works out, can he and his wife come live with us for a year? My immediate gut reaction was no, because we have not even lived in the house yet, and we would immediately have to share the space with them. They also have not shared any plans of paying rent, helping with groceries, or anything else. I would feel like a huge asshole telling them no and having that uncomfortable confrontation. But something tells me, as first-time homeowners, we would be frustrated if we immediately let them move in when we have not settled in ourselves. Also, I cannot help but wonder what their plan was if we did not get a house and still live in our apartment. This just feels like they jumped on the opportunity of living somewhere free. I'm just looking for others' opinions because I'm feeling pretty worked up about it. Commenter 1. I would feel like a huge asshole telling them no and having that uncomfortable confrontation. Not the asshole, and analyze why you think you would be the asshole for telling them that they cannot come live with you. They're asking to live in your home for a year, not borrowing a cup of sugar. If they think you're an asshole for that, then they are not your friends. Better to have one uncomfortable conversation lasting an evening than an uncomfortable year or longer if they do not move out. You would be the asshole to allow them to move in and tarnish your new home experience. Does it even need to last an evening? Can it not just be, I'm really sorry, we are excited to move into our new space, just ourselves in the first home we are ever going to own. We look forward to having you around for dinner once we are in and settled, though. Or something less formal or in the cadence they usually have with these friends. I do not think this even needs to be face-to-face. Just say or text no. And if they push back, be like, this is really weird that you keep pushing this. Have you ever had somebody insist on living with you rent-free for a year? Because I have never heard of this happening. And throw their behavior back at them. Commenter 2. Not the asshole. Just straight up say, sorry, no, we are not interested in having tenants or roommates. I never understand people thinking they need to make up this dramatic reason. Just say no. I live in a 4-bedroom house by myself. The number of people who ask me if they can rent a room is crazy. My response is always no. I do not want roommates, and I am not risking them becoming squatters, family, or friends. People change. Years ago, I lived alone in a 2-bedroom house. A friend, who was part of group text, took a 2-year job in a different country with his company. And as he was planning to make his return back, he hopped on that group text and asked me if he could live with me for 4 months or so while he got a new place back in town. My reply, A simple no, he questioned why. I reached out to a different friend who had done that same 2-year move a few years earlier, and she explained that their employer automatically gives them up to $2,500 a month for 6 months for temporary living expenses while someone finds a new home to live in. This friend straight up not only wanted me to let him live with me, but he was also going to pocket $10,000 from his employer and not even tell me. I texted him back in the group text. Now that I knew this information, I spoke to Sally. Did you know that you will get $2,500 a month towards relocation rental for 6 months by your employer? He privately texted me that he could not believe what a jerk I was being by not letting him live with me. My reply, no, did not want a roommate. The guy never spoke to me again and left the group text. Commenter 3, do not do it. Do not let them move in. No chance, no way. Take it from someone who has been there. I had a friend move in. The estimate was 6 months to get on his feet. It took 3 years and a girlfriend to get him to move out. His stuff is still at my place 8 months later. I keep hounding him to get his stuff out. He will not. It is the most frustrating thing ever. Not the asshole. Do not invite him in. It may strain the friendship for a bit, but it is better than the friend being a burden and straining it for a long time while you grow to resent them. I cannot be comfortable or happy in my home. It will dampen your relationship with your husband. Edited to add. What makes it worse is he wants to move his wife in too. Then she gets pregnant, and they will guilt you about putting kids out on the street. You will never get them out. If you try to kick them out, they would try to pull squatters' rights on you and take over, while you're stuck footing the bill. Just do not do it. Original poster. Keep your sanity. I was lucky our friend was a single guy, but he latched onto a successful woman and is now living in her place. He is not my problem anymore. Well, until he gets his stuff out, I'm about to pay someone to haul it away and send him the bill. I was going through a rough time with my divorce, and I ended up with a house. Then COVID hit. My buddy, who lived on the other side of the country, received a job opportunity where I was living, his home state. He asked if he could stay with me while he looks for a place for his family, which include his wife and 6 children, including an infant. He told me that he wanted to have a place ready by August so his kids could go to school up here. Since it was only 3 months, June, July, August, I agreed and told him not to worry about rent or anything like that and save it for his new home. I also told him that I would help him look for a new house. He comes up and we go out to pick up some food and walk around. We are chatting and catching up, and he thanks me again for letting him stay. He then offers help with anything, like mowing the yard or shoveling snow. I chuckle and reply that I do not think it will be snowing in August. Now we get into a deeper conversation. Come to find out, he wanted to stay until August of the following year. I told him that was not happening, and I would give him until the end of August like I originally agreed to. Over the next few weeks, he tried to bring his family up to visit and send me to a hotel. That was not happening. Then he tried to convince me that it was too much house for me to live in alone with my pups, and I should rent in the house and find an apartment for myself. That was not happening either. There's a bunch more stuff, worse actually, that made mutual friends cut him off. They were so disgusted by him. He ended up leaving in the middle of the night about 3 weeks into his stay. I never talked to him again. Commenter 4. Okay, so you just got your dream house, and your friends are already asking to move in for a year. That is bold. Look, you're right to feel put off. You have not even had a chance to paint a wall or figure out where the couch goes, and they're already planning their year-long stay. Plus, no mention of rent? Come on, not the asshole for wanting your own space. They are definitely taking advantage, or at least being incredibly inconsiderate. Next story. Am I the asshole for hiding the location of my best friend from my wife? About 5 years ago, I moved about 15 hours away from my hometown for a job. Shortly after moving, I met my now wife, Becca. A few years ago, I had a buddy, JR, from back home come stay with me. While here, he met my wife's sister, Maggie. JR and Maggie hit it off. They pretty quickly started dating. Maggie has a daughter from a previous relationship. The daughter's dad is very much in the picture. Almost a year ago, Maggie and JR moved in together. At the time, Maggie was living with her parents because she could not afford rent on her own. Things seemed to be going well. It is a long story, but almost 2 months ago, JR got pretty irrefutable proof that Maggie was cheating on him. He was angry, depressed, and overall distraught. He could not deal with confronting her, but he also could not deal with living with her. He talked to me and wanted my help to get away. So, I reached out to my network of people who were not mutual friends of Becca and me to get him a place to stay. Becca, Maggie, Maggie's daughter, and my mother-in-law were going out of town to visit my mother-in-law's mom a few weeks after he found out. I had a work friend with a rental house. I helped JR pack his stuff, which was about 90% of the apartment, and he moved out. He sent an email to Maggie about why he moved out. He left a check for rent and utilities through the end of March when their lease is up and informed the landlord that he was not renewing. Maggie got the email and called JR numerous times while on the trip. My wife called me and asked what was going on and where JR was. I told her that JR moved out and he was safe, but I would not tell her where he is. They got back, and Maggie flipped out about all the stuff JR took. My wife was quite angry and demanded to know where JR was. I kept telling her that he is safe, but I am not telling her where he is. The last month has been tense, and my wife has begged and made threats to know where JR is. She has even tried using my phone to impersonate me to call JR and get information. I have since changed my passcode. She says, "We are married. This is affecting my family. I deserve to know." I refuse. She has even talked about this being grounds for divorce. Am I the asshole? Edit. 1. My wife knows that JR left. 2. Maggie has admitted since he left that she was cheating. 3. My wife denies knowing about the cheating, and I do believe her. Historically, Maggie and Becca are not close. Prior to JR moving here, we would see Maggie maybe once every 3 months or so. Since JR moved here, we see her a lot more because JR and I regularly organize get-togethers, which is why my wife's reaction is surprising to me. 4. The stuff JR took was only his stuff. In fact, a lot of stuff he left is also his. Other than gadgets, he left all the kitchen stuff despite it being 100% his. He left all the stuff in my niece's room, even though he paid for a lot of it. Next story. My husband got me a vacuum for my 50th. The title says it all. I turned 50 yesterday. My husband, 53 male, woke me up and told me he had a surprise for me downstairs. I go downstairs and see a vacuum. Not even wrapped, mind you. He said he thought I would like a new one since the current one does not have the ability to turn off the brush roller when using it on hard floors. I never asked for a new one. It works fine. That was my birthday. Not even a lunch or dinner out. He mentioned a month ago about doing something special and going on a trip. I asked about that, and he said he figured I would tell him when and where I wanted to go. He never asked where, but did mention several times over the past month he had a surprise for me. Apparently, it was a fucking vacuum. We have been married 17 years. Am I the asshole for hoping or expecting that maybe he could have planned and surprised me with something? Anything? Something more than an Amazon next-day delivery vacuum? When he turned 50, I took him to Hawaii. Maybe I am just being hypersensitive. Turning 50 has been a hard number for me. My parents and grandparents all passed in that decade. Edit. Thank you to the numerous people who reported my post to Reddit Crisis Cares. It is not necessary. And to the mean trolls saying to get a life, no one cares, do not be a gold digger, or it is the thought that counts. I wish you nothing but success and prosperity in life. Peace, victory, and medium light skin tone. Edit 2. Is a Eureka Power Speed Canister Vacuum. Commenter 1. Take yourself to Hawaii and leave the vacuum in the living room. Leave him in the living room with the vacuum when you go to Hawaii. Maybe take the vacuum with you to Hawaii and just leave your husband behind. Yes, and take pictures of you and the vacuum getting cocktails and lying on sun loungers, etc. Your level of petty is epic, and I am here for it. Not me picturing them smiling with a vacuum on the beach with cocktails without the husband. When the original poster's husband asked for a blowjob, use the vacuum cleaner. Then say, "It sucks to be you." Commenter 2. I told my kids when they were young and my partner never to buy me anything for my birthday or Mother's Day that has anything to do with cooking or cleaning. My red line is power cords. If it has one, I will use it to strangle you. That rule is too brutal. I would love a new Mac or synthesizer, and my wife would love a new sewing machine for her hobby. But I agree, if it has anything to do with general housekeeping, then the wire is for strangling the thoughtless person who gave it to you. Find out exactly which sewing machine she wants before you pick the wrong one out yourself. Yes, we are very specific about sewing machines. Be careful, or we will sew you a new body bag with a fancy monogram, as long as it has a nice embroidery function. Commenter 3. Re-gift it back to him on the next occasion that calls for gifts. Oh, absolutely. You know what they say, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. Next birthday, just casually drop a set of new lawnmower blades in his lap. You definitely need to sit him down and have an honest conversation about this. Point out the Hawaii trip for his birthday, and also tell him how you were struggling with being 50 and you thought he was planning something really special on his own, and that you feel really let down by the total lack of empathy or consideration he put into your present. If he blanks you or goes defensive, I suggest you buy him a household appliance for his next day, perhaps a washing machine. And I would also be tempted to suggest that as he considers the vacuum so special, he can have the honor of using it to clean the house from this point forward. Do not let this slide, as it will stay there, and the resentment of it will grow like a cancer. Edited for spell checker mistakes, and thank you for the award. This is absolutely it. Now is the time for clear communication. Explain to him that it is not just about wanting a trip. It is specifically about him putting in the time and effort to plan something meaningful for you. A lot of people do not understand that aspect, and he very clearly is one of them since he was waiting for you to do the work of planning your own birthday. Not the asshole, because this is not just about a low-effort gift. This is about how he sees you and the fact that it takes two to continuously invest in a marriage to keep it healthy. This was his time to put in that work, and he phoned it in instead. The way men just forget to apply the same effort they receive. You are not wrong to feel let down at all. It is selfishness. It is not anything else. He knows he is being an ass. He does not care. Commenter 4. I am so sorry. Do you need bail money? My dad got my mom towels and kitchen knives one year. That is the Christmas that lives in infamy. Hearing my mom scream, I cannot wear knives, through a closed door lives rent-free in my head. It was very brave of your dad to insult your mom with a present while simultaneously supplying a weapon and the means to clean up the crime scene. Very thoughtful, to be honest. Commenter 5. Not the asshole. You need to have an honest conversation with your husband. Today was my 50th birthday, a milestone. A month ago, you mentioned a trip to celebrate. For your 50th, I surprised you with a trip to Hawaii. I saved and planned for months for it. You ordered me a vacuum that I do not want 2 days ago. No trip. You cannot be bothered planning anything. You were waiting for me to tell you where we were going. So, once again, I'm expected to do all the planning and organizing in this relationship, this time for my own birthday. If I'm going to do all the work, I might as well just go by myself. And be by myself. Why are you here? Do you even like me? That is what I would say. She should ask him, when and where will we be going for my birthday trip? If he has no answer, repeat the question every few days. Commenter 6. Not the asshole. But you need to tell him your honest feelings about this, not the internet. And have a bigger, honest conversation about your relationship. I doubt this is the first instance that you are unhappy about. Out of the top 5 responses, she will get to that. One of them will be, well, I guess I cannot do anything right around here. And then he will proceed to pout and sulk and give her the silent treatment until she apologizes to him for being upset with him being a thoughtless asshole. Commenter 7. No excuse can justify this. You are not overly sensitive. He is underly sensitive, thoughtless, and lazy. No one who has been taken to Hawaii for a milestone birthday, or any birthday, could possibly think that this is appropriate. Tell him to find out whether it has an intimate attachment, because he's going to need it. Next story. Am I the asshole for telling my autistic brother to quit correcting me? Hi. I am using an old throwaway account for this because I am really unsure how people will react and would not like to deal with potentially strong negative reactions for any longer than a few days. I will have this account open for the next few days to answer questions or reply to comments. Hope you all understand. Anyway, I, 23, female, have a bachelor's degree in psychology. Psychology also happens to be my autistic brother's, 14, male, special interest. I was visiting my family this past week, and my brother and I have been chatting about interesting psychology things a lot. However, he likes to use social media as his primary source of information, which is fine. as long as you do more research before believing and repeating things. But he tends to just believe anything he hears without fact-checking, especially if it is something that intrigues him. So it happened multiple times where he would throw me a fun fact that was false, or he would correct me on something I was telling him about with misinformation. And I had always been super gentle correcting him and reminding him to double-check his information. Even though I did find it quite annoying, I never was harsh with him. But last night at the dinner table, we were talking about the structures of the brain, how psychology and medical things overlap. The conversation was mainly between my mother and me, as she is a doctor and could speak for the medical part of this, while my brother was just tuning in. We were talking about strokes and how they affect the brain. I began explaining to my father about the left and right brain and how they control opposite sides of the body when my brother stopped me to say that I was wrong and that it is the opposite way. I once again gently corrected him, but he was insistent that he was correct. I reminded him that I was the one with a degree in this topic, and he dropped it. Later, after dinner, my parents, brother, and I were in the living room watching a movie that was on television. During one of the commercial breaks, my brother brought up the left and right brain thing again, going on about how I was supposedly incorrect. I was really just done with the topic and was getting a little tired of being constantly corrected with misinformation. And I did not think I said this in any aggressive or rude way, but my exact words to him were, "I would really appreciate it if you would quit correcting me when you are incorrect. Your source of information is random people on the internet. My sources are textbooks, experimental documentation, and the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition." My brother then stormed off to his room, upset by what I had said, and my mother told me I should have just let him have his way because he is autistic and just a kid. And in no way was I trying to attack my brother or be selfish and full of myself. I genuinely just wanted him to have the correct information, but the constant correcting began to get on my nerves a little bit. So, am I the asshole? Commenter 1. Not the asshole. Your mom's approach of letting him have his way is not doing him any favors, to be honest. You were patient multiple times and try to guide him toward better sources. At 14, he is old enough to learn that social media is not always reliable and that constantly correcting others, especially when wrong, is not great social behavior. Maybe try channeling his interest by showing him some proper academic sources. Could help him feel more involved while teaching good research habits. Just a thought. Agreed. He is autistic, not brain dead. If he can understand social media and psychology, he can absolutely understand corrections. He is on the spectrum, but should still be held to similar standards. As it appears, he is able to do most typical functions on his own: walk, talk, read, etc. Your mom is doing him a disservice by dumbing him down. It would probably be worth getting him an easy textbook or something and introducing him to basic research methods. Even going through Wikipedia articles and checking those references to see how things are checked and structured. He is interested. It would not take much to help him develop that interest. Feeding into the social media/artificial intelligence nonsense is not going to help him in any way at all, though. At 14, I do not even think he needs to have simplified sources. 14 is grade 9, which is a higher reading level than most adult Americans. University textbook Lexile level is spitting distance from a grade 9 reading level. Commenter 2. Obviously, autism varies a lot in presentation, and I have less experience/education than you do about it, but it sounds like he is plenty capable of engaging at the level you addressed him. I think not the asshole, with your mom being the mild asshole. Being gently told they are out of line in embarrassing but safe situations is how even neurotypical teenagers learn to be pleasant, socially adept adults. People with autism generally need more direct feedback than neurotypical people. If he does not ever get it, he will be far more limited in life and relationships than if he learns how to respect other people's expertise and opinions. My dad used to get mad at me for correcting my brother about things, specifically at the dinner table. It led to a discussion where my dad decided to eat dinner on the couch instead of at the table because he had trauma around fights at dinner. And I was only teaching manners like not endangering everyone else with a steak knife or interrupting constantly. Weird conversation to have as a 9-year-old, but it made handling my difficult grandmother easier to navigate. Nobody ever had to pick a switch on my watch. Dad never did believe my brother's autism diagnosis, but he was also an older sibling of brothers and realized that sometimes the know-it-all kids need to be reminded that they actually do not, and that learning appropriate behavior from your peers is normal. My brother can now use cutlery properly. Most people do not catch on that he is on the spectrum because he is pretty good at social cues and better than a lot of other middle-aged white men about cutting off others. And he is mostly a delight to be around when he has the social bandwidth for it. He is very obviously on the spectrum to me, but he gets along in the world better than a lot of people, so I feel like an okay big sister. Commenter 3. Not the asshole. I have been a misinformed but excited autistic kid in a similar situation. After a certain point, everyone needs to get the reality check that you do not know everything, and that is a good thing. Use it as an opportunity for him to learn more about what he is passionate about, but from reputable sources. Maybe throw an old textbook his way if you have not gotten rid of your college books. He is autistic, so he has social quirks. He is not an idiot. He can learn, and he should. The original poster's mom is failing him by allowing him to be rude, remain ignorant, and become inflexible. Not the asshole. Original poster. Thank you for this. I do have some old books still, I'm sure. I will show them to him. I love this. I am autistic and have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and I guess my siblings have grown tired of my way of discussing and asking and, yes, correcting. I am working on it. So I love this approach. Not only are you giving him something that he is very interested in, but you also show him that you think he is smart and that you like to share this interest with him. Commenter 4. Just let him have his way because he is autistic and just a kid. This is the way to ensure he is never able to handle the real world and society. Yes. Also, he is not a kid. He is a teen. Physically, he could be bigger than a lot of adults. I am tall, and when I taught at a school with 14-year-olds, I felt shorter than most of them, laughing out loud. The idea that he is just a kid is delusional. Commenter 5. Not the asshole. I am autistic, and he has got to learn that just because he has a special interest does not mean he is right about everything, just like I did. Came here to say this, and also as an autistic person, if I find out I am wrong about something to do with my special interests, I am finding out the actual facts as soon as possible. Nothing is more stressful than not knowing everything about the interest, laughing out loud, which honestly could be the source of his frustration, but again, he's going to have to learn. A little bit of emotional regulation practice, dialectical behavior therapy, save my sanity, goes a long way. Next story. Am I the asshole for telling my neighbor she cannot have my side of the garden? My partner and I live in a multi-family home with 4 separate units. We have a large backyard with a 2-sided garden. Of note, my partner and I are the newest tenants to the house. Last year, my partner wanted to grow vegetables in the garden. He talked with the one other neighbor who uses the garden. The other neighbor told him that she wanted a specific side, so my partner took the other side. My partner and I, spent a lot of money on new fresh soil, plant food, everything. We spent countless hours tilling and making it great for growing. We did a great job. Our neighbor did not do such a great job. She did not buy fresh soil and nutrients like we did. She was constantly blaming her lack of growth and our success on the amount of sunlight. They are literally a foot apart. There is no difference in the sunlight. Fast forward to this year, and we see her setting up on our side of the garden. We approached her and said that we did not agree that she can just claim our side, as we put so much time and money into it already. Not to mention the fact that she was the one who decided what side she wanted to begin with. We got into a big argument. The landlord thinks we should alternate sides every year as a resolution. We disagree. Am I the asshole? Commenter 1. The landlord thinks we should alternate sides every year as a resolution. Ask the landlord who will pay for the materials and labor you put into your half. It seems that if you alternate, you will do all the work and spend all that money to improve both sides, while the neighbor harvests the benefits. Dig all your dirt out. I read in an old farming book how it was legal to take the topsoil from your holding. There were pictures of horse-drawn drays loaded with sod. It is a lifetime of work to really improve the soil. Your landlord is an ignorant numpty, and your neighbor is a thief. Dig it all out and put it in a raised garden bed. Move said beds when you alternate. I would salt it after and keep salting her side, so it is going to look like it is a her problem. I'll live for this level of petty. Commenter 2. If you have to alternate, you do not spend any money gardening this year. The landlord and your co-tenant get no benefit from your work. There will be hers and empty space. If you want fresh veggies, get some larger buckets and grow a container garden, which you can move from side to side each year and take with you when you leave. Maybe put your soil in them right now. Just put on wheels. Good idea. Dig up all the soil and extras you put in and put them into containers. Then just move your containers from side to side. Not the asshole. And then, for petty fun, plant crabgrass. It should not get into your containers, but it will love her side of the garden. She will spend all summer pulling it out. Who needs crabgrass when you can plant peppermint? With roots up to 12 feet deep, it is almost impossible to get rid of. Commenter 3. Hard pass. As a gardener myself, I would absolutely not give over my side of what I have already nurtured and cultivated. She has a lot of nerve just moving in on a space that she thinks will yield her a better result, when, in fact, it will not, because the issue is her lack of effort. If you yield to her demands, you will be starting from scratch with a parcel that will be more work for you, because you will have to basically fix what she did not bother to do. I would tell them both that you are grandfathered in and garden plots need to remain with who claimed them the season before. Commenter 4. Not the asshole. Tell the landlord when she pays you for all the soil amendments. Then she can switch, but you have poured too much money into the side you are using. I was going to say something similar. Just send both of them an invoice for materials and labor and ask if she is paying it directly or if he is deducting it from the rent. Commenter 5. She wants to switch every year? Okay, plant grass seed in the plot and use buckets and totes to plant in. That side does not get enough sun, right? So you had to put them in raised beds so they would get light. Stop contributing money to a plot that can be taken away. Keep all your effort in your containers. Maybe when she sees you are not fixing her side and still getting a great harvest, she will realize that she is the problem. The grass seed and weight from the totes will make that side a pain to get back to plantable when it is hers again. Commenter 6. If you want an example of how to deal with these people, just do what this person did. Create a portable garden, and if she wants to take over your work, just move it to whatever side she does not want. Also, I am a brat, so I would ask her if she understands the concept of not yours. You may not always know who owns something, but you definitely know who does not you. If something is not yours, you do not get to take it, borrow it, use it, sell it, or plant your seeds in it without the consent of the person who does own it. It may be the landlord's land, but it is your soil. When you use something that is not yours, you do not get your needs considered if the owner decides they do not want you to use it. That is the risk you take when you choose to not ask first. It is not hers. Dig up your soil and leave her an empty hole to fill. And really, how expensive were those seeds? Next story. Am I the asshole for refusing to have a relationship with my dad after he cheated and destroyed our family? Hi, I, 20 female, have not spoken to my dad, 45 male, in almost 2 years. When I was 17, I found out he was cheating on my mom, 42, female, with her best friend. They had been sneaking around for months before anyone knew. When my mom found out, she was absolutely shattered. She had to raise me and my younger brother, 13 male, alone with barely any support. The worst part is that my dad never apologized, not to my mom, not to us. He acted like it was just something that happened and said, "These things are complicated." Like, sorry? You threw away your family for a woman we trusted, and now you think we will just move on? Since then, my dad has been living with that woman, playing happy family with her kids while completely ignoring us. He missed my graduation, never helped my mom financially, and only texts me on birthdays or holidays like "hope you are well," as if nothing happened. Now suddenly, because some of our extended family are having reunions and holidays, he is trying to reconnect. He keeps reaching out, saying, "You are my daughter, I miss you, let us fix this." But honestly, I do not think I can. I have watched my mom cry herself to sleep for years. I had to grow up fast to help her and my little brother. Why should I forgive him now just because he feels lonely? Some family members, mostly on his side, are saying I am being cold and bitter and that life is short You will regret it if you do not make peace. But to me, he is the reason our family is broken. So now I am wondering, am I the asshole for refusing to have a relationship with my dad after everything he has done? Commenter 1. Not the asshole. Tell him that if he wants to make amends, he can pay for a family therapist of your choice. In a therapy sessions, unload on his cheating ass. Opie, thanks. That is actually a great idea. If he really wants to fix things, he can start by taking responsibility in a setting where he cannot just brush it off. Let us see if he is willing to put in actual effort. He should start paying child support. Also back child support. I am guessing the new children are not the blessing he thought they would be. Cheater, meet karma. More likely he is getting asked when his biological kids are at these parties and reunions and does not have a good enough answer to give the extended family. I would sure as hell be asking where my cousins/nieces and nephews/great nieces and nephews/second cousins once removed, or if I turned up to a party expecting to see them and was met by some random kids instead. Commenter 2. Not the asshole. He cheated, destroyed your family, never apologized, and ignored you for years. Now that it is convenient for him, you want back in? You do not owe him a relationship. Healing is on your terms, not his. Opie. Yes, if he truly cared, he would have tried way before now. Guessing he is learning that the grass is not greener. Did that other woman never apologize to your mom at all? Did your mom have no support system? Did she take your dad to court for the child support? Commenter 3. Tell him you might consider reconnecting if he pays your mother the child support he owes. He needs to take some actual accountability. Not the asshole. Commenter 4. Block him. He is not worth your time or mental health. And tell his flying monkey relatives to send their bullshit messages to their piece of shit brother's affair partner because he is dead to you. And block them too. Not the asshole. Opie. Honestly, you are right. If they care so much, they can redirect their energy to the person who actually caused the damage. I am done carrying the weight of his mistakes. Commenter 5. Not the asshole. Tell his flying monkeys that you can discuss working things out when he turns over X amount of child support and sincerely apologizes and is willing to pay for and attend family therapy. The average child support payment in the USA is $720 per kid. So child support for you for 1 year minimum is $8,600. I would argue maybe you were still in high school, so 2 years and your brother 2 years equals $35,000 rounded. He pays $35,000, apologizes, pays for, and attends family therapy with you, and you maybe give him a chance. Hint, he will not do that. In the end, he did your mom a favor. The only person who does this is some form of monster, probably on the narcissist spectrum. Recommend your mom get therapy with a therapist who understands infidelity is a form of abuse and who can help her overcome this and live a happier life. And be grateful she does not have to put up with more decades of his cheating and then have to wipe his ass when he is older. Next story. Am I the asshole for leaving my girlfriend after she got date raped? My girlfriend, explicitly because I was spending my weekend with family who had flown in from out of state/country, decided to go out. She spent however much of the day at the mall with some guy she said she just wanted to be friends with. He took her back to his place where there was apparently a party. She turned off her location. I noticed when I went to send her a goodnight message and asked her if everything was okay and if she was safe. She affectionately said she was. I asked her if her home Wi-Fi was down again. She told me she had turned it off so her parents would not know where she was. I asked her where she was, and she never answered me. From the bits she has told me, the music was loud. He told her he wanted to show her his room because of how hilariously tiny it was. She went up with him, and he started going after her sexually. She said it was late. Her parents were worried about her, and she wanted to go home, but from what I understand, he pressured her into saying yes. That is coercion and rape. I got a message that morning telling me she had cheated, but her friends told her it was rape. I messaged her, drew her hugging geese, told her I wanted to make sure she was okay, and offered to call. I offered to drive over. She told me she was with her good friend, a different guy, obviously, and spending the day with him. I kept messaging, worried about her, to no response, until I stopped so as not to pressure her. I barely got through work that day and got myself drunk, first time properly sloshed. That night, to stop worrying while trying to be with family, I only had a day with between months or years. She called me when I was drunk and asked me to come over, offered to Uber me over, and told me she needed me. I told her I was drunk and could not be there. I had also promised my family members not to talk to her if they let me at the hard whiskey. She called me, and I was apparently asking too many questions and told me to just spend the next day with family. The next day, while I was with family, she begged me to come over. By that point, I was already talking to family, including my sister, who was abused, including raped by her ex, trying to understand. They all told me she breached my trust. In all fairness, they are biased because they feel she is abusive. In a previous Am I the Asshole post, all responses told me I was being abused if they believed the story at all. I broke up with her then, but she told me she needed me to sit next to her that night, or she would not be able to finish her take-home midterm. She aced it while I worked right next to her. We talked and cuddled, and I thought things would improve, and some aspects definitely did. My sister told me breaking up with her, then comforting her, would just lead me back into the cycle and hurt her too. And I thought through all the stories I had hidden from them and my friends of how she did me wrong. And I yelled at them that they were wrong. And I just slid down onto the ground and wrote this message. You did not deserve to be raped. What he did was awful, and it is never your fault. But, name, you went up to his room alone with him after you two spent however much of the day together. You made fun of me for how oblivious I was at the start, but even I would have caught that. You did not tell him about me because you did not want to ruin his opinion by being too complicated. You can say my boyfriend is worried about me without explaining our entire relationship. You could make it clear you were taken, but you did not when you have actively complained to me about how men often only befriend women for sex. And again, none of that excuses rape, and I am so sorry that happened to you. But that does not change that you cheated on me. Not physically, but emotionally. My family does not know so many of the other cheating adjacent things either. And so many friends are telling me the exact same thing. When you called me, I melted at your voice and forgot it all. But our relationship died when you walked into that room. It should have died when you refused full exclusivity, and it should have died when you kissed that guy on our break. If I go over there now, I will be betraying my sister and other relatives when I promised so many times I would not leave her again. And besides, there is nothing I, as your ex, can possibly do to genuinely support you right now, especially with how shattered my trust is. I'm sorry I made a promise to you I could not keep. You were right. Your trauma is valid. And if you need to, please talk to a professional at the sexual assault hotline. 1-800-656-4673. Thank you for the lessons, the fun, your amazing cooking, and the geese and poodle ex-relationship code word meaning 100% sincerely. Wish you the very best. Goodbye. I do not think we should stay in contact, even though it burns me inside to say this. I will send you your stuff, including replacement Tupperware, and I will figure out with someone to grab my stuff too. Commenter 1. Why the fuck do I read these things? I do not. I scroll to the top comment and then decide if it is worth reading. Okay, this idea just changed my Reddit life. Commenter 2. Jesus Christ, that was too much. I dump her in my mind when you said she was hanging out with some other guy and turned her location off. Yeah, not the asshole. And no contact is the way to go. Stay strong and move on. Real. Her needing OP was just a selfish way to assuage her guilt toward him by seeking comfort from him. It was emotionally manipulative and selfish. OP, your life is going to be so much better now. Commenter 3. I had already dumped her when she went to the party and turned her location off. She went there to cheat. It was already over. She literally went on a date with another guy, then followed him to his home, turned off her location, followed him into his room, and slept with him, and is now screaming rape. Like, I normally would not want to victim blame, but it really sounds like she just went on a date, slept with another guy, then decided to say she was raped just in case anything ever came up due to her turning off her location. Commenter 4. Not the asshole. She betrayed you repeatedly before she entered his bedroom. If she got raped, she should get support from her friends and family, not from the person she has betrayed repeatedly. You need to encourage her to get help and go no contact. She did not show any signs of love or respect for you. Commenter 5. Bro, I got through half of that. This girl is unhinged. I do not believe she was raped. He did not coerce her. She agreed to practically everything and admitted she cheated. Turn off her location. And to show her my room, trick is high school level shit. You are pouring out too much, and I am tapped out right now. Ditch her and move on. Also, you stop drinking and stop texting her. Block her. Next story. Would I be the asshole if I break up with my fiancé after he said he will not take care of me and our 3-month-old son while admitted at the hospital? Our 3-month-old son is admitted for pneumonia. He got it while visiting my family, and the reason why we were forced to visit is because I need help taking care of our son. We have been staying at my fiancé's home with his family since I gave birth, and while his mom helps, she has been out of town recently. The rest of his family does a little bit from time to time, but it is never really anything significant. He has a full-time job, so he can only truly help out on the weekends. I have not been sleeping well for a while because I am exclusively breastfeeding, and a few days ago, I really felt like my body could not handle the exhaustion anymore, so I asked my parents if we could stay over for a while. My parents are very hands-on grandparents. When the baby is not feeding, they take him so I can rest. Unfortunately, one of them caught the flu and passed it on to my baby. And now he is admitted for pneumonia. My fiancé did not want him admitted. He wanted to bring him home and just give him meds orally, but I persisted because the pediatrician strongly advised the need for 4 antibiotics. Once at the hospital, things got worse because they had to try multiple times to get an 4-line on him and kept failing. My fiancé kept telling me it is my fault for bringing him over to my parents and for agreeing to get him admitted. He was so distraught. I saw him crying while holding our baby. It is the first time I have ever seen him cry. The pediatrician says our baby might stay for a minimum of 3 days, just until he gets the antibiotics and clears the infection. We might have to bring him home with the 4-line and give the antibiotics at home. The problem is if his 4-line gets blocked or gets out of the vein, we will have to have it reinserted. I was supposed to finish my maternity leave this week, but decided to extend my unpaid leave for 1 week. I have asked him to take a leave as well, as he has plenty of leave left, and also he has a 5-day mandatory leave he needs to fulfill. But now he says he will not do it. He will go to work, and I should ask my family for help while our son is in the hospital, since it is their fault he is here. When he said it, I was so dumbfounded he would even consider saying these things. I just replied with okay, and have not spoken with him since. He is still in the hospital with us now, but says he will not be staying tomorrow. When I ask him for simple things like, please pass me the water or elevate the head of the bed, things I cannot do since I'm holding the baby, he does them begrudgingly. I'm so heartbroken by this. At a time when we should be supporting each other, he chooses to antagonize me at every step and decides to leave me hanging. I am devastated that on top of worrying for our baby's health and being the primary caregiver, he springs all of this on me. I cannot help but think that this is not how it is supposed to be, and I do not want a future like this. I know there will be many more difficult things we will have to go through in the future, and it is scary to think he will act this way when those times come. I am debating telling him that if he does not take care of us during this time, he should consider the engagement off, and my son and I will move out and stay with my family once he gets discharged. A huge part of me wants him to come around and for us to fix things. I have not told my family this yet, because it would feel like the final nail in the coffin for our relationship if they know he is acting this way. Commenter 1. Remember, if you ever need medical help, this is the guy you would be counting on to call an ambulance for you. If you cannot trust him with your life, let alone your baby's life, you really should not marry him. Also, Opie, you deserve a partner, not an antagonizer. Not the asshole. This was a story a bit ago. Time is blurry. About a woman whose husband was coming to take her to the ER and just never showed up. Sounds like Opie's future if she does not act now. The woman eventually gave up on waiting for her husband and asked a neighbor, who got her to the hospital just in time. I remember that story. I got secondhand rage from it. I truly hope she divorced the asshole. I left my husband for similar reasons. I had severe, ongoing vertigo to the point I could barely get to the toilet. My thinking was very fuzzy, and I could not process much or verbalize my thoughts well. After day 3, he said if I was not better that night, he would take me to the hospital. A few days later, the same thing. In the evening, he would bring me a bowl of food and a glass of water. That was all I ate or drank. It was 3 weeks by the time he actually took me. I had also fallen against the closet door at one point. He was worried about the cat that was scared and babying him, but never asked if I was okay. Opie, you're not the asshole. Get out now. It will only get worse. Commenter 2. Be glad you have not married him yet, and take this as a good glimpse of what could come in the future and decide. Is this what you want for the rest of your life? Exactly this. He is unable to empathize. To be honest, most of the time, it is the woman who holds up most of the load as a parent. But this is unacceptable. He is a douchebag who does not solve issues, but makes them worse by pointing fingers at crunch time. Walk away. Your child is better off seeing both of you separately and learning that healthy interactions may mean no interactions as a choice. If he will not take care of his own family when it truly matters, then you have every right to reconsider this engagement. Love is not just about the easy times. It is about showing up in the hard ones. If he cannot do that now, what happens in the future? The baby would have died if they were not admitted to the hospital. Wonder how dad would have blamed mom for that. As a primary care nurse, and having worked in ICU, pneumonia does not go away with over-the-counter oral meds. Babies are so easily dehydrated, and when they get sick, they do not eat as much. Always overreact with babies. Call your doctor and ask for advice or take them straight to the ER. Do not mess around. Commenter 3. He sounds like a complete jerk. It is your family's fault your child got sick. Even if that were true, you would not have gone to your family's house if you had help and support at home. So you could counter and say it is actually his fault. This is a glimpse of your future. He does not put you or your son as a priority. Stay with your family and take care of your son and yourself. Not the asshole. Does this walnut know how dangerous pneumonia is in infants this young? He wanted you to come home against the advice of the physicians. This man cares for no one. Not you, and certainly not the baby. Let him rot alone in this universe in his selfish narcissism. Leave and do not look back. He has already shown you he would make an awful husband and awful father. You both deserve better. Commenter 4. His baby is in the hospital, and he is more worried about the blame game than being there for the baby. Stay with your parents, dump the guy, file legal paperwork for child support/custody, and get yourself sorted with work/childcare/housing. This will not get better. He is doing you a favor here. He is showing you how he handles hard situations. Instead of working together, he is blaming you. All that aside, the fact that he did not want you to take a 3-month-old baby with the flu to the hospital also shows he might not be the sharpest tool in the shed. Does not sound like critical thinking is his forte. People die from pneumonia all the time. This man is an idiot. Infants that young are especially vulnerable. Taking the baby home with pneumonia is an unbelievably risky move, and frankly, it is not as if her family was trying to make the baby ill either. Would not have happened if he was helping more. Commenter 5. Hold on a damn minute. He has leave, but is refusing to take it. You were so exhausted you had to go stay with your parents due to his negligence. And in his twisted logic, it makes sense to blame you. Also, I work in a hospital briefly, less than 3 months, phlebotomy, not nursing. And if your kid's veins are not supporting in 4, he needs to be there. Pushing oral meds would not have helped, in my very non-expert opinion. From what I learned drawing blood, that means your infant is likely dehydrated on top of having pneumonia. His pediatrician recommended the hospital, for fuck's sake. And that is ignoring how he is treating you. He is an asshole and an idiot. Not the asshole. Edit to add, there are a lot of reasons IVs can be difficult to place. I will not speculate since, as stated, I am not a nurse. I will say that as a former phlebotomist, whenever we had hard draws, the first thought was dehydration, which is why I brought it up. Either way, the inability to place IVs is usually an indication that a patient, especially one that young, should be under observation. At least in my opinion. We can take care of him ourselves, is rich coming from the person who has no interest in taking care of his family. Next story. Am I the asshole for sneaking vegetarian food into my father-in-law's meal? Not a throwaway, but a private account, because my fiancé knows my main account. My fiancé, 23 male, and I, 23 female, plan to get married in October of this year. I would like to start off by saying I am not looking to end my relationship with my fiancé. I am a vegetarian. My fiancé is not, nor are his parents. This has never been a problem for me, my fiancé, or his mother. But my father-in-law has always been weird about it. For example, whenever we all go out to eat and I order something vegetarian, he always gives me weird looks. He also always tries to convince me to eat meat, saying things like, "You are really missing out. You know you want some of this. That fake meat will never be better than the real thing," etc. Yesterday, my fiancé and I invited his parents over to our house for dinner. I made spaghetti and meatballs for my fiancé and his parents, and spaghetti and vegetarian meatballs for myself. I put them in 2 different pots and placed them both on the table. When his parents were grabbing their food, his father happened to grab the spaghetti and meatless meatballs instead of the real ones. Now here's where I might be the asshole. After I saw him put the meatless meatballs on his plate instead, I decided not to tell him. He sat down, finished the whole plate, and even got a second helping. Once his parents left and my fiancé and I were cleaning up, I told him about the whole fake meat thing. My fiancé got really mad at me and immediately called his dad. His dad then called me and started berating me on the phone, saying I am a psycho and my fiancé should leave me for trying to poison him. I tried to defend myself by saying I was not the one who gave him the fake meat, and he grabbed it himself, which is 100% true. My fiancé said I should have told him which was which, but I genuinely do not see the problem. I know he is not allergic to soybeans or anything, so I do not see the harm in trying vegetarian food once. I think I might be the asshole because usually my fiancé always defends me when his father and I get into arguments like this, but the fact that he is not worries me. So Reddit, am I the asshole? Update. A bit of a quick update, but after reading your comments, I have decided I'm going to apologize to my father-in-law. Whether I was in the wrong or not, it was not right to not tell him what he was eating. Also, I have seen a lot of comments saying if it was the other way around, I would be screaming at him or something. I just want to say no, I would not. Sure, I would be a little sad, but I have accidentally eaten meat a few times. I have been vegetarian since I was 16, and I do not really care. Thank you for all your comments. Smiley face. Commenter 1. Your fiancé's immediate reaction was to get mad and call his dad to tattle on you? Are you sure you do not have a fiancé problem? I would go with everyone sucks here. The father-in-law is an asshole who should give you the respect to make your own choices. You are the asshole for not informing everyone so they could make their own choices. Either make one meal for everyone or inform everyone what is what. Your fiancé was the asshole for tattling on you like a child. I would also be on high alert around any food that the father-in-law has access to going forward. He is absolutely going to try to slip meat into OP's food. I am confused how they did not realize partway through the meal. OP is a known vegetarian and brought out 2 pots of spaghetti and meatballs. One would assume she did not make 2 pots of regular spaghetti and meatballs, as well as assume that of the 2 versions, one is going to be veggie-friendly for her. So when she sits down to eat, whichever one she eats out of is the one that is vegetarian. So unless she did not eat with them, which, why would she not if she made vegetarian spaghetti and set it at the table? How would they not notice? If not all of them, at least the father-in-law, who is eating from the same pot and is stated to be weird about her being vegetarian. To paraphrase, if he thought she did not bring out a vegetarian one, he would have commented on it. If she tried the one he thought was meat, he would have commented on it. But somehow, while sitting right in front of him, he did not notice her take from the same pot as him. I'm not saying it did not happen, just that it is really surprising that no one spotted them take from the same pot. Also, I would be eyeing the fiancé heavily for his reaction. Is vegetables you all? What is their deal with calling it poison? Commenter 2. Not the asshole. Did your father-in-law not notice that was the bowl you were eating from? Did your fiancé not put it together? Your mother-in-law? You are not the only one at the table who could have mentioned it. And why did anyone not ask what the difference was? Also, I agree with others. Tattling on you and then not defending you as your father-in-law yelled at you are red flags from your fiancé. OP. My fiancé knew one was vegetarian. He just did not see his father grab from it. My mother-in-law, I assume, did not care, and my father-in-law did not notice or ask either. He knows you are vegetarian, so he should have understood that one of the pots would be your meatless version. He could see that you were also eating spaghetti and meatballs. If he did not put it together that there was a veggie meat version around, then his brain must be too clogged with meat fat to work properly. Commenter 3. Not the asshole / everyone sucks here. Man, this whole anti-vegetarian thing is so embarrassing. It is solely based on toxic masculinity and men feeling like becoming a vegetarian is unmanly. They seem to forget they eat vegetarian things all the time. Mac and cheese pizza, fries. But all of these manfluencer types try to say that not eating meat means you are not manly. How fragile is their masculinity that they accidentally eat something that was good enough to have 2 portions of and act like they have been poisoned? That said, if you saw it and knew he did not want to eat that, it would have been kind to mention it. But it is no big deal. I am half convinced it might be fake given the high engagement topic and the outrageous response of the dad. But I'm pretty sure my comment will be downvoted by those who also fear that eating vegetarian food will turn them into a girl as well. I agree. When she saw him grab the seconds, she should have been like, "Oh, is that what you grabbed? That is actually my vegetarian meatballs," instead of doing it after, because that makes it seem like you did it on purpose. And honestly, there was no point in you telling your fiancé. Commenter 4. I do not know, but it is a red flag that your fiancé told on you. Like, really, was that necessary? He does not have your back, nor does it sound like he will when you get married. Just keep that in mind. Commenter 5. Bit odd that a man who regularly tells you to eat meat did not question why you were eating meatballs. Odd too that your fiancé did not also wonder why you were serving yourself from the same pot as your father-in-law. Your fiancé should not have gone tattling. Your father-in-law should not have acted like you were feeding him arsenic, and you should have mentioned it when he started to serve himself the vegetarian option, knowing that he would kick off about the trick, even though you had not intended for him to eat them. Next story. Am I the asshole for calling out my husband's friend after he made inappropriate comments about my son's paternity? I, 23, female, have been married to my husband, Alex, 27, male, for 2 years, and we have a 10-month-old son, Dylan. Alex has a friend named Mike, 27, male. They have been best friends since high school. For my first encounter, I did not like Mike. He is really childish, likes to be the center of attention, and has a crude sense of humor. It is like he never got out of his frat boy phase. All of my husband's friends are married or in long-term relationships, whereas Mike has never been in a long-term relationship or has brought any woman around. He has also made some weird comments toward me that made me uncomfortable. My husband has a deep bond with Mike, and they often go on hunting trips or have boys' nights. I have never tried to keep my husband from hanging out with his friend, but I have limited my contact with Mike as much as possible since we have been together. Mike came over to pick up my husband to go golfing. I was holding our baby when I answered the door. Mike greeted us at the door, asked to hold my baby, and was cooing at him. Then he said, "Hey there, man, come to Papa," and my husband and Mike started laughing. A bit of background. I have brown hair and blue eyes, and my husband has black hair and brown eyes. Our son's hair is coming in blonde, and he has blue eyes. Mike has blondish hair and blue eyes. I was a bit caught off guard by it, but ignored his comment. Mike then said, "He looks like me. Maybe he's mine," and my husband and Mike continued to laugh. I was obviously not amused. I told Mike to hand me my son, and then told him, "Not in a million years, and no woman with sense would want you." Neither my husband nor Mike laughed at my comment, and Mike just made a face before he and my husband left. Later, my husband told me I took it too far with Mike, that Mike was just joking, but I made it personal. I told him those comments were disrespectful to me as his wife and the mother of this child. He then said it is obviously not true, so why am I so upset when I know how Mike is? Commenter 1. Ask your husband why Mike's comfort is more important than yours? Not the asshole. Opie, thank you. Like, why are Mike's feelings the only ones that matter here? And why was Mike just making a joke, but you were attacking? Mike says, "Maybe we screwed." You say, "Not on your life." Neither sound like jokes to me, but Mike does seem like a frat guy with no future. Commenter 2. You did the right thing. Nobody should insinuate you slept with anyone beside your husband. Your husband should be offended too. Opie, thank you. Also, my husband is being a hypocrite here. If I made a joke about our baby being for someone else, he would be livid. It is okay for Mike to do it though. You should start. Oh, look at the baby. He looks like the mailman. Ha 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 ha. Edit. Actually be specific. Oh my God. That facial expression looks just like Justin at work. Commenter 3. Not the asshole. It was a harmless joke. Obviously a joke, but a joke intended to make your husband laugh, as if you were not even there. In fact, the joke does not even make sense if you are there, because the implication is that he has been sleeping with you behind your husband's back. The only way it would work is if the three of you were close enough such that you would play along like, oh no, well, sorry hubby. The truth had to come out sooner or later while you put your arm around Mike. But the fact they both laughed, and because you do not have that familiarity, it was hurtful that your husband chose to laugh, somewhat at your expense, as if you were not even there or only considered what the joke implies about him and not what it implies to you. This is the kind of joke you make between friends you know it will land with, and you're not one of those people. Your husband's closeness to him does not automatically transitively pass to you because you are his wife, nor should you feel pressured into being comfortable with that level of familiarity being forced on you. It was not necessarily the joke itself that got you so upset. It was the fact he thought he could tell that joke without thinking of you at all, the forced familiarity from both of them, and the way they talked as if you were not even there and do not see anything wrong with any of it. Could not have said it better myself. Should be the top comment. I have definitely had those types of jokes. In my case, coming from friends I was previously close to, but we have grown apart. When we were close, I would have found the joke funny, but when we have grown apart, it was no longer acceptable. Commenter 4. Like most frat boy, I was just kidding types. He can dish it out, but cannot take it. You are not the one who made it personal. Tell your husband that you find any man implying you would have sex with him is personal to you. Commenter 5. Information. Were some of these weird comments he has said previously? Do you believe he says things to provoke you/others? I think understanding his motive is important here. Opie. When we got engaged, literally the first thing Mike said was, darn it. Alex beat me to it. I had the ring and everything. Literally the first thing. Not congratulations. He has said other weird things as well. Are we sure that Mike does not have a thing for you? That is a very weird thing to say. I wonder if there was some truth to that, and he cannot help himself from trying to nudge himself in there between you and your husband. Think about his comments in the past. If he did not like you, they would be derogatory, but in both cases you mentioned, they were about being with you. If it is not that, then maybe it is jealousy. Weird things to say in front of your husband, much less you. Next story. Am I the asshole for leaving my husband and kids? Hi everyone, I, 38 female, am a stay-at-home mom. Well, I was until recently. I am married to my husband, 40 male, and we have twin daughters, 14 female. I left my job about a month ago, but the truth is I have never been able to hold a job for long since I got married. Every time my daughters get sick, which happens a lot because they both have asthma, I am the one who takes them to the doctor, manages their medications, and stays up all night during their asthma attacks. My husband? He does not really help with any of that. To be fair, he is responsible when it comes to work and provides financially. Our bills are paid, and we live comfortably. And honestly, I like taking care of the house. Having a clean home gives me a sense of peace. But here's the thing. No one lifts a finger to help me. I cook, clean, do laundry, everything. And when my husband and daughters come home, they just relax. Not even a thank you. They will not wash their own plates or uniforms, even after I have asked, begged them to help. I have had this conversation with them more times than I can count. 5 times? 10? I lost track. But since I am starting a new job tomorrow, I told them things had to change. I said I would keep doing most of the chores, but they needed to do simple things, like washing their own uniforms and not leaving dirty dishes behind. And I told them, point blank, that if I found even one dirty plate left behind, I would leave and go stay with my mom. They told me I was stressed and gave me this book, which made me feel awful. Well, guess what? Today, after school, they ate lunch, left their dirty dishes on the table, and went on with their day like nothing happened. Not even 24 hours after I asked for help. So, I packed a bag and left to stay with my mom. And you know what really hurts? They did not seem to care. No one called me. No one tried to stop me. It is like I am invisible. I told them I will be back in a few days, maybe a week, but I feel so empty and unappreciated. My mom thinks I've spoiled them too much, and maybe she's right. But is it really too much to ask for a little help? So, am I the asshole for leaving? Commenter 1. What I do not understand is why did these kids not have chores to do starting at a younger age than 14? Why do the kids not do what you tell them? You give them a directive, and they just ignore you? At 14, they should be doing laundry, washing dishes, dusting, cleaning the bathroom, helping cook, and on and on. It does not matter, boys or girls. All these years, you never taught or made them do anything. There were never any consequences for not obeying you. Did you and your husband ever discuss the kids doing chores? And as a team, what consequences there would be for not doing them? As far as you leaving, my guess is they are not taking you seriously, and my guess is your husband may be telling them not to call you. They think you will let this blow over and come back. Yeah, this is not going to go the way she thinks. The fact that they do not care that she has left is telling. They will not be falling to the floor, kissing her feet when she gets back. When she goes back, the cycle will continue. She and her husband should have been teaching those girls that kind of responsibility about a decade ago. I knew how to clean, do laundry, and even cook when I was much younger than 14. When I was 14, I got home from school and was basically responsible for myself until mom got home from work, which was a few hours because she worked 9 to 6. If Opie needs a break, fine. But running away from a problem she was a part of creating is not going to be the cure to fix said problem. Exactly this. Look at the title of the book they gave her. They think she's stressed and having some sort of mental breakdown. So of course they're okay with her spending a week at her mom's. They figure she is taking a vacation from her responsibilities, and when she gets back, she will go back to being their full-time maid. Staying with mom is a good first step, but the real impact will come from Opie going home and changing her behaviors. Maybe that means leaving the mess until someone else cleans it up. Maybe it means moving the mess out of the shared space, so it is very obvious whose job it is to deal with it. Heck, I think my mom would have piled all my dirty dishes right on top of my pillow if I had been this much of a brat. Maybe it means introducing consequences that the kids actually care about. But you cannot teach lessons if you are not there, and these kids need to learn. It should have started a long time ago, but better late than never. Sadly, I doubt the husband is going to change any, but maybe it is not too late for the kids. Commenter 2. Not the asshole, but stay away and out of contact for longer than you said. If you go back, it will be a defeat, and you will get even less respect than you do now. They think you have a need to be home and cleaning up after them. Prove them wrong. Spend a month out of contact and focused on your new job. If nothing else, I think doing this will change your own view of yourself. I agree with this. And when you do come back, refuse to clean up all the messes that I am sure will be waiting for you. Force them to do it, or it will defeat the purpose. 100%. The messes are just going to pile up, and they will only reach out when they're out of clean clothes, etc. Learning to appreciate your parent is so important. It is really on the dad to be reinforcing how important what the mom does is, and vice versa. The fact that they're all just ignoring it is so terrible. Agreed, thumbs up medium dark skin tone. Good on OP for keeping to her word and following through. Boy, does this bring back memories. My mother did the exact same thing when I was in my second year of college. At the time, my sisters and I were not getting along well. My parents were divorced years earlier, during my early adolescence, and my mother took on all of the responsibility of raising us. She worked tirelessly at 2 jobs, and we, being oblivious and selfish idiots, were being ridiculous over having the use of the car during the weekend. She was a nurse, and a fairly wealthy family in Connecticut asked her to contract as live-in care for an elderly parent in West Palm Beach, Florida. My mother jumped at the chance. She later shared that it was bittersweet because she genuinely missed us but hated that we were such clueless, self-centered, and unappreciative morons. My words, not hers. She returned 8 months later when her first grandchild was hospitalized at age 3 for acute asthma. I will admit that her time away really matured us for the better. Now, as an adult, I refer to her as Queen Mother, and my siblings and I do everything in our power to ensure she lives a stress-free life. Whenever she calls or wants anything, we compete with each other to be the fastest to help. I think Opie is on the right track and is definitely not the asshole of the family. Commenter 3. You're not going to want to hear this, and I say it as kindly as possible, but you and your husband created this. Your daughters are a product of the environment you created. So what do you do now? They do not care you left, but will they care if you take away what does matter to them? Phones? TV? Ground them? Do not let them play sports they love. You need to reel in now and stop spoiling your daughters because your mother is right. Leaving your kids and your husband is not the answer. Being a mom who implements appropriate rules and consequences when they are broken is. And you need your husband on board with this. Sorry, OP, but I completely agree with this. When they refuse, is there punishment or consequences? I did not read that in your post. Your husband also needs to step up. It does not mean that because he brings in most of the money, he has no responsibility here. Next story. Am I the asshole for telling my dad's wife I will never consider naming my child after her recently deceased mother? I am currently 29 weeks pregnant with a girl. My husband and I have already chosen her name, as well as 2 backups in case it does not suit her. My dad's wife lost her mother a little under a year ago. They were extremely close, and her passing was unexpected, so she is not coping well. My husband and I are trying to be as helpful and accommodating as possible, but we do not live in the same country as them anymore, so there is not much we can do. Back in February, my dad and his wife came to visit us for 10 days to celebrate our son's birthday. This was our first time seeing them after her mother's passing and their first time seeing me pregnant. Early during the trip, we had dinner together. We all started talking about my pregnancy and the baby, and when my dad asked if we had any names in mind, his wife stopped us. She asked us if we could consider naming our daughter after her mother. She said she had been wanting to ask us this since she learned we were having a girl, and it would mean a lot to her if we could honor her mother like that. I do not think I have to justify why I would not do that, but in case I do, I never liked her mother or thought of either of them as family. Even if I did, my husband does not like the idea of using our children's names as tributes, so we would not name them after any of our deceased loved ones. My husband and I were taken aback. My dad looked a little awkward, so I think he was already expecting her to bring that up. I said I was sorry, but we had already chosen the name and were not interested in changing it. The mood died a bit, but we did manage to change the subject and enjoy the rest of the evening. My dad's wife was quieter than usual for the next few days, but she did not bring that up again until the final night of their trip. Everyone was at our place. She pulled me aside and, once again, expressed how perfect it would be for us to keep her mother's memory alive by naming a child after her. She started talking about how much she would have loved it and how a beautiful name such as hers should not go to waste. I interrupted her and said there is 0 chance we would ever consider naming our child after her mother. I told her it would never be up for discussion, and for her own sake, she needs to accept that and stop bringing it up. I was admittedly harsher than I had intended, but I am not sure she would have gotten the message otherwise. She barely spoke to me and my husband until she and my dad flew home the next day. My dad and I have been talking about this. He agrees with our refusal. He did not really like his mother-in-law either, though he never admitted it, but thinks I should not have turned his wife down like that. He told me she is still dealing with her mother's passing, and I should have been more sympathetic. He is insistent she would not mind our daughter's name if we at least told her we would consider honoring her mother. I do not think humoring her would have been the best call, but I am worried I was too harsh. Am I the asshole? Commenter 1. Not the asshole. She did not take no when you all politely said it, so harshly was the only way to get your point across. It is always weird when someone asks you to name a child after someone. It would not even mean the same if you did not do it because you wanted to. Opie, when my son was born, my dad joked that his name was available, but he did not say anything besides that and did not complain about the name we actually chose. He later told me it was a joke, and he always thought that was a bad idea. If she brings it up again, reaffirm that your child is a living human being and not a memorial plaque that your father's wife slaps a name on. Commenter 2. Not the asshole. If naming your child after someone you did not like was a requirement, I would have a kid named Uncle Bob the Terrible by now. Commenter 3. Not the asshole. There are only 2 people who have input into what name a child receives: the parents. Should people make suggestions? Well, in my opinion, only if the couple asks for them. You handled the situation well the first time she mentioned it, and she should have taken no for an answer. You had no choice but to be firm the second time. She should have let it go after the first time. Opie, Some of my family, including my in-laws, were miffed when we did not take suggestions while naming our son. He was the first grandchild, so I chalked it up to excitement at the time. Commenter 4. You owe her nothing, especially since you just call her Dad's wife, so she does not even sound like a close stepmom. It is sad that her mother died, but what does that have to do with you or your unborn child? Do not let her emotionally manipulate you into changing your mind. Opie, my dad started seeing her when I was already in college, and he was not interested in remarrying at the time, so I never really registered her as family. I did live with them for a little while, but we had wildly different personalities, so we were never really close. Commenter 5. Not the asshole. Why would anyone think they get to pick the name of their step-grandkids? That is absurd, particularly when Opie clearly stated they were not close and the step-grandparent was not liked. Opie. She does not know I did not like her mother. I was careful to hide that and never treated her differently, but I had assumed she at least knew we were not close. I think your feelings about her mother are almost irrelevant next to the fact that she is absolutely nuts for thinking she has some say in what her husband's daughter will name her child. Next story. AITA for keeping no contact with my sister after her husband, my ex, died. When I, 22F, was 14, I started dating Jace, who was 15 at the time. We were together for 3 years. We'd known each other for years, and I always had the biggest crush on him. My sister Lauren, 23F now, knew. She was one of my best friends, and I thought we'd told each other everything. But Lauren and Jace were cheating behind my back, and Lauren got pregnant. I didn't know at first, and was the first person she told, and I supported her. It was only after she told our parents, and they pushed her to say who the father was, that she confessed. I broke up with Jace, who didn't care. He was done with me and wanted Lauren anyway. While Lauren kept begging me to forgive her for hurting me and begging me to still be close to her. I refused, and when Lauren moved in with Jace and his family, it was a relief. My parents attempted to force forgiveness on me. They took me to a church therapist, and they had a number of talks with me about Lauren being my sister for life, and Jace being just a high school boyfriend. All it did was push me away from my parents, and when I turned 18, I moved in with my grandma. I had very low contact with my parents and no contact with Lauren and Jace. They got married just before the baby was born, and I ignored the invite. I ignored when they had their first and then second kid. Lauren made several attempts to speak to me and apologize more, but I ignored them, and I told extended family that I wasn't going to change my mind. Some were quick to say I was a silly child and I'd regret throwing my sister away. Others said I was so young, and we both were, and hurting people's feelings when you're young happens, and why couldn't I hate Jace and forgive Lauren? My grandma always said nobody was making it better by pushing. Grandma stood by me through all of this. When Lauren asked her to help pull off a surprise reunion so she could speak to me, Grandma turned her down. She told Lauren she wasn't coming to the house as long as I lived here, and she told her she would not help her trick me or anything crazy like that. Some of the wider family, my parents included, are mad at Grandma, but she said if Lauren can have her mistakes forgiven by everyone else and be allowed to feel and do what she wants, then I should be given the same grace. But it was argued always that the difference was I was ending a relationship for good, while Lauren made a single mistake. Last month, Jace died suddenly. I don't know what happened exactly, but Grandma got the call about it. Then more calls came and asked me to finally move on and speak to Lauren and support her, as a sister should. I didn't. I didn't go to the funeral, and neither did Grandma actually. She said even if she had wanted to, she knew the time would be spent trying to browbeat her into forcing me to reconcile with Lauren, and a funeral is not the place for that. So she was removing herself from that. Grandma's been getting shit from so many people in the family who think I should have let go of the no contact now that Jace is dead. Since I never answer to any family members who think I need to forgive Lauren, they go through her. I hate that she deals with it, but she doesn't block them because she wants to see just how far they'll go with her. She said they're helping her trim her will, which I find funny, and I love Grandma's humor. But I feel awful that she's getting the abuse the rest of the family can't give me. It made me want to ask if I'm TA for keeping the no contact going with Lauren, and if people outside my family think I'm a monster. I have a support of friends and also some family. It's just, I know we were really young when all this happened, I know once Jace cheated with Lauren, he would have done it with anyone. So, I know it's not like we'd have lasted like I imagined. But Lauren doing it to me just makes it worse because I loved and trusted and was there for her. So she betrayed me and even leaned on me when their cheating led to a pregnancy. Ever since I found out, I wished she wasn't my sister. I could never see even a civil relationship for us in the future. But I'm aware that it might make people think I'm TA and not her, especially now that Jace has died. So AITA? Commenter 1. So he's dead. Who cares? His betrayal wasn't the reason you cut contact with your sister. Her betrayal was. And that doesn't change whether he's alive or not. Commenter 2. Jace dying doesn't erase all of their betrayal. They're still cheaters of the worst kind, and your parents and relatives are enablers. Next story. AITA for demanding that my husband and I go on video consenting to an opening relationship before allowing one. Throwaway account. I've been debating about actually posting this for a while, but since I don't feel comfortable about discussing this with family or friends, I thought I'd come here anonymously. I, 35F, have been with my husband, 35M, since we were 15 in high school and married him at 25 after our first child was born. We are each other's only partner for everything, and I thought we were good until my husband told me that we weren't. It all started when our first child, 10F, was born and the dynamics of our relationship went through a shift. I admit that it was a bit of a challenge, but I thought we were doing okay until I got pregnant a second time, and we had our twins 6M and 6M. It was rough, and between child rearing, both working, taking care of the home, and struggling to save for a bigger place, I honestly started to wonder if we'd make it. We went to counseling, and once all kids were in school, I felt like my husband and I were going to be okay. We moved into our house, we got a handle on our student loans, got help with childcare, received respective employment advances, and were able to make monthly date nights for each other, where we could just focus on us. It wasn't perfect, but I truly believe that we were good. Then one day, my husband approached me about wanting to bring more excitement into the relationship. At first, I thought he just wanted to spice things up, which I was down for. And we did, but then he started to drop little hints about wanting more and asking me if I ever had any regrets about when we met. It took a while for me to be honestly with both him and myself. But I finally admitted that there were certain I wish we could have done differently, and he seized that moment to bring up opening up the marriage. I was shocked, confused, hurt, and the thought of cheating entered my mind. He assured me that it wasn't and sent me articles and videos about ethical non-monogamy, but I wasn't initially open to it. Unfortunately, my husband didn't stop and kept pestering me about it to the point where it would ruin our date nights, and after a year, I relented just to get it over with, but insisted on some ground rules. One of them being that I wanted us both to side down together and record ourselves consenting to allowing the other to have a partner. When my husband asked why I showed him a post about a woman who was in an open relationship with her husband, and one day, while she was out with her boyfriend, a relative of the husband saw, took pictures, and then confronted the wife with the entire family. They accused her of cheating, and her husband just let her take the fall. I don't ever want to be in that position, but my husband dismissed it, saying that what happened to her won't happen to us and that no one else needs to be in our relationship, which I found laughably ironic. I told him no video confirmation of consent, then no open relationship. My husband thinks I'm being paranoid, unreasonable, selfish, unfair, and unwilling to compromise. AITA? Next story. AITA for restricting my body from my husband. My husband, 30M, and I, 23F, have been married for 4.5 years. We have 2 kids together, and ever since our youngest was born 18 months ago, my husband has been so obsessed with my boobs. He always has had an interest in them, but it seems like he has taken this to a whole new level. He is constantly touching, playing, pinching, and sucking on my boobs/nipples. Every time he comes home from work, I'm a psalm. I greet him at the door waiting to give him a hug and a kiss. The past few months, he has been dodging my hugs and turning his face away from me, so I have to kiss his cheek rather than his lips, and he immediately grabs my nipples and pinches, then pulls them through my shirt. I hate it, so I brought it up to him one day, telling him how hurtful it is that he would rather come home and pull my nipples rather than give me a hug or a kiss. He then proceeds to tell me that my boobs are the only thing that makes him happy, and I should be flattered he's still attracted to my body. I told him I don't want him touching my nipples anymore when he gets home, and if he keeps doing it, I won't greet him at the door anymore. He then gave me the silent treatment for 3 days. When he was finally ready to talk about it, he said that he has never once restricted his body from me, and he feels like I don't love him because I've now restricted my body. I told him that I feel like he doesn't love me when he goes straight for my girls rather than kiss me. It's been a few weeks since that conversation, but he still guilt trips me sometimes, so I just need to know. AITA? Commenter 1. NTA, my boobs are the only thing that makes him happy. Read that again and again. Not your brain, your smile, your boobs. Maybe you're getting too old for him. You were very young when he married you, and I'm sure you dated first. And I'm not saying that to be rude or judgy to you, but he's not attracted to you as a whole anymore. Just your boobs. The question is why? Also, you don't owe him your body, and don't question that.